If we can start with Ukraine, the administration told us the window was closing at the end of last year. How much opportunity do we have to change the course with this bill?
I think the assistance is going to get there just in time. As you can see from all the reports coming out of Ukraine, the Russians have begun to make progress again. They have won battles and taken over villages in eastern Ukraine. Their wartime economy is geared back up. Their army is now bigger than it was at the beginning of the war. So the Russians are gearing up for a longer campaign, and we're stepping in just in the nick of time. And Europe is stepping up just in the nick of time to bolster Ukraine and hopefully to make this into a fairer fight.
But I guess the question I've been asking is, are we coming up in the nick of time to allow Ukraine to hold the line, essentially, or to allow Ukraine to actually make advances against Russia? Because there is a difference there, sir, I would think.
I think so. I think this is going to boost Ukraine's morale, which honestly has been a little bit low of late. They still have
psychological as well.
I think this will be an immediate psychological benefit that the United States is back, that we're back in their corner, and that we're writing checks on their behalf. And I think that will in turn help with the equipment in the medium term, like weeks and months. I think this is going to be of assistance. I still think the long-term dynamics favor Ukraine making more progress and pushing Russia back, but they've got to get geared up. They have been retooling for this very effort. I think there'll have to be more NATO training. But, you know, your viewers should know, as I think you do, that this is going to go on for years. It's not going to be an over and done with campaign anytime soon.
We spoke earlier today with Valdis Dombrovskis, European Commissioner for Trade, about aid for Ukraine. Here's what he told us.
I very much look forward for tomorrow's votes, and hopefully this Ukraine support is being approved, because what we see is that in last months, actually the situation in Ukraine is deteriorating for the lack, especially of military support. We see it both at the front line, and we see it with daily shellings of Ukrainian cities, residential areas, critical infrastructure. So this support is very much needed.
Executive Vice President as well for the Commission, speaking with us here on Balance of Power. Michael, what is the message that we're sending to our European allies here? Because we're at the same time, in many cases, asking them to do more.
I think this helps us make the case that we need to do more. After all, populism here in the United States, probably driven in part by Trump, or maybe Trump's a phenomenon of populism, is all about step up, do your part, make sure that we are supporting our allies and that they are supporting us. Europe has been, that's sort of been an underwritten story here of late, that Europe has stepped up now more than ever. So I really think this helps us get back in the game, and gives us the moral authority once again to go to others around the world and say, the United States has anteed up. Now you have to do so, because we have to get ready for the longer revitalization of the U.S. defense industrial base. We've got to be able to restore deterrence in Asia so China in 3 years doesn't go after Taiwan.
Well, that's another theater to pay attention to, which is why in this aid package that we do expect could pass the House this weekend, it is not just aid for Israel, aid for Ukraine. It is also aid for the Indo-Pacific, specifically Taiwan. But on the Israel point, we also need to acknowledge the developments overnight. Of course, we were expecting an Israeli response to the barrage of more than 300 drones and missiles Iran sent last weekend. It seems like what we got in return was quite limited. A drone strike on, yes, a military facility, but it did not seem to cause much damage. The nuclear capabilities were not touched. Was that de-escalatory more so than escalatory? And if it was de-escalatory, is it all de-escalation from here?
So I think over time we're going to view the Israeli retaliation last night as de-escalatory. It's hard to call it that here on the day after, but I think over time, looking back at it, we're going to view it in just that way. I think for now, the Biden administration and others have successfully sort of managed this escalation spiral back downward, but it's still a powder keg over in the Middle East. I think the Israelis, when they reflect on what's happened to them of late, first, October 7th, and second, Iran actually sending ballistic missiles and drones into Israel, I think they're going to once again think we need to reset the security environment in the Middle East. We can't live with a genocidal terrorist organization like Hezbollah on our northern border. I don't think they'll do this immediately. I think they're going to go back to Gaza first. But I don't think they're going to just sort of leave this era in history with Hezbollah sitting there.
I want to ask you about Afghanistan while you're with us. We had a conversation with General Ken McKenzie this week, who, of course, helped to oversee, as leader of CENTCOM at the time, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And the findings of the government's investigation and his testimony along with that, which we heard from Mark Milley, makes us wonder the extent to which this could be an issue on the campaign trail. Republicans have criticized Joe Biden extensively for the Marines who died there. General McKenzie weighed in on the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Here's what he said.
I think my opinion at the time was leaving completely was a mistake. And I've been pretty open about that ever since. My views were heard. A president made a decision, and he is actually the decision maker. He gets to make that call. Mm-hmm. And my opinion then and my opinion now remains the same. We would have been wiser to keep a small residual force in Afghanistan. And I stand by that today.
We don't need to litigate the issue here, but to what extent will Republicans make it one on the campaign?
I think it's definitely a campaign issue. I don't think also that they're doing it for purely partisan reasons. I think there are legitimate concerns out there. After President Bush, President Obama, and others asked these men and women of the United States Army and Marines and elsewhere to dedicate a portion of their lives to try and not only successfully prosecute a counterterrorism mission, but also to try and bring some peace and order to instability to Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And what happened was that we got out abruptly. The way we got out abruptly helped with the collapse and the success of the Taliban's offensive into Kabul. So I think the circumstances and the way we got out of this are very much, as they say, sort of something that should be debated on the campaign trail.
Well, the two people that are campaigning, primarily the presumptive Republican nominee and Democratic nominee, are, yes, Joe Biden, but also Donald Trump, who was the one who initially made the commitment with the Taliban to pull out of Afghanistan. So is the proper punishment entirely inflicted on the administration that actually had to execute, or the one before it that set the stage for it to happen? I
definitely think that Donald Trump should have to answer for the plans that they had levied at the time. He didn't go through with them. But I don't think he should escape criticism or scrutiny for it. But the actual huge event was definitely withdrawal, and not just withdrawal, the precipitous overnight withdrawal, especially from Bagram Air Base, that really left the Afghanistan National Army in a sense that they had been abandoned. That caused them to really just put down their arms and uniforms and go back into society. And that basically invited the Taliban to come in hurriedly. So we're going to have to look at this, by the way, just like COVID, just like Iraq, just Afghanistan, these things we're going to have to examine over time in a depoliticized format to try and figure out the lessons learned for the United States.